Hi.
Hello.
Today we wanted to talk a little bit about our history, and I was going to go back in my memories to 1986, around the time that David resigned as an elder. But we wanted to fill in some details so that you would understand what led up to that happening. So we got married in 1982. And during that same year, the same month, there was a couple in the congregation who also got married. They approached David, or the wife approached David, because her husband had been converted into the witnesses. She had been raised as a witness. When they got married, he was a baptized witness. He pursued the Watchtower quite willingly and eagerly and was confident. He was a university student. So during the course of his university classes, he lost his faith in the Bible. So his wife panicked and approached David, who at the time was the
Theocratic school overseer.
Right, so the trainer. You'll all remember that. She approached David and said, because we were a young couple and in the same congregation, and maybe she knew that he liked us, I don't know.
We got along, but we didn't know them well at that point.
Yeah, we weren't close at that point. But she said, would you be willing to have the two couples come together and study together to help her husband regain his confidence in the Watchtower?
Actually, the Bible wasn't. He'd lost his faith, not in the Watchtowers per se, but in the Bible at that point. Yeah. Because of what he'd learned.
Yeah, he didn't believe in the Bible anymore. So we said, yes, sure, that's nice. So we got fairly close with this couple, studying the Bible together.
This would be about 1984.
Yes. So 2 years into our marriage, and 2 years into their marriage. We studied and what David decided on as a good way of helping this fellow was to study fulfilled prophecy. So we're not talking about
events since 1914, not the usual stuff we think of as fulfilled prophecy.
Right.
But prophecy fulfilled during Bible times.
Right. So like messianic prophecies about nations, Babylon, Nineveh,
many more.
Yeah, and it was very interesting. I found it very interesting study and bolstering my faith in the Bible. And it worked that way. It helped him to regain his confidence in the Bible as the Word of God. And he started to go to the meetings again.
I should add one little detail that might be useful to folks here. That is that because I already had a library of some 3,000 volumes, mostly about history and archaeology.
Yeah, that helped.
And Bible apologetics. I was able to use many of these tools, which really were from Christendom, to help this couple shore up their faith in the Bible.
Yeah.
That made me a little uncomfortable, but we can continue the story.
No, I didn't know about that uncomfortableness. He didn't reveal that at the time. Anyways, after that, there was another fellow who was given to David as a Bible study, and it was a pioneer sister who passed it over to David.
His name was Steve. We can use his name safely, although the couple's name we probably shouldn't use because they still have witness family.
Yeah. So
but Steve was very zealous. Started to go out in field service as well as attend the meetings right away.
Yeah.
And this excited the whole congregation, including the young couple who grew close to us and to him.
Yeah, he
during
hung
that
out
period.
a lot with us.
So this would be about 1985, and Steve is coming along gangbusters, and of course we're all very pleased about that.
And he's preparing for baptism, but then suddenly he comes to the door one day, and you could tell he was upset. Visibly, he was upset, and he said, "I can't be baptized." And like, oh my, what happened, right? So we invite him in, and it doesn't take long for him to say that he had in an effort to understand this new religion that he was becoming involved in, he was reading some of the background of the Watchtower. And he had been reading the books of Rutherford, which were at our Kingdom Hall library. So he was reading those books, and he said, Rutherford is a maniac, was the way he put it. And I was upset.
I would say mortified.
Yes. Well, how could you say such a thing?
Had you read any Rutherford at this point?
No. But I was boldly defending a person I didn't know anything about.
So I think I should add, before we comment upon Steve's reaction, I was not nearly as shocked as Vivian because of things we'll go into the next segment. Mm-hmm. But I knew enough about Watchtower history to know that this kind of reaction to Rutherford was not extreme, mm-hmm. because Rutherford, even according to the Watchtower's history books, was a really rough, gruff character, yeah. who offended and mm-hmm. thought nothing of offending people, including members of the organization, not just the people out there who he was trying to reach ostensibly. Mm-hmm. And the titles of his books often give that away, and the titles of some of his public lectures, which the Watchtower confesses, like Religion is a Snare and a Racket. Yeah. This is not the approach of C.T. Russell, but it was Rutherford's approach, and the people he liked and then rose to the tops of the organization tended to be people who had mm-hmm. similar tendencies. So Steve's reaction was a shock to us, but for me it was different than it was for you.
Right. Yeah.
And so in the next segment we'll tell you more as to the fallout from Steve's reaction and subsequent events in 1985-86.